What is up, guys? Zan from the Madden YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to go over my favorite coverage concept that I like to run out of the 3-4 bear against spread sets. This is going to encompass your trips tight end, Trey Y flex type looks, as well as some of your more unconventional spread sets like the shotgun U trips. But before we get into the video, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you guys take the time to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the uploads coming your way here on the Zan Madden YouTube channel. If you guys want to watch me play Madden live, you guys can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ZanMadden. The link for that channel is below in the description, as is a link to my ebook bundle. If you guys are still out there playing Madden 20, want to finish the season running something different on both sides of the football, you guys can get my full Washington offensive playbook with my single back wing tight U, and wing tight Z, as well as my 3-4 bear comprehensive defense, in which I show you guys how to shut down all the popular runs, those pesky rollout corners, and also lock down the field with unique coverage concepts like the one I'm going to show you here in today's video. So if you guys like today's video, make sure you guys check out that ebook bundle, give you a way to kind of finish the season running something a little bit different, give you a little bit of momentum heading into the brand new game. Okay, guys, without further ado, let's talk about my favorite coverage concept to use against those spread sets. I teach theory on how to shut down rollout corners, how to lock down compression sets such as tight offset, tight end, tight slots weak, your tight doubles, your bunch, split close, any of those types of compression sets. I show you guys how to shut down rollout corners in that defensive ebook. However, the spread stuff does continue to give people a little bit of trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and take the time today here and show you guys how I like to shut down those sets. Now, when I run the 3-4 bear, the most important thing is that you have a pass rushing threat. I run my 3-4 bear without blitzing 7 or 8, and I run it without lurker. I don't need to send all those guys to stop the pass game because I've spent over 35,000 snaps in this defense this year learning how to use coverage to shut down a lot of the popular concepts rather than just blitzing and leaving areas of the field open and relying heavily on a user lurker to make those stops and turnovers. So when I talk about how this defense works, we're going to talk about skill sets. Now, obviously, the Ravens do not have the edge threat elites that I'm going to talk about. They don't have the pass rush elite that I'm going to talk about. But the 3 spots on this field that you really want to have a pass rushing threat are your 2 outside linebackers. So this player right here needs to have edge threat elite. Typically, I'll stack a no outsiders ability. That way, if they audible down into a stretch, you have the ability to stop the stretch with this player as well. And I will do the same thing over here on the outside linebacker opposite, where I have a edge threat elite and some sort of no outsiders ability. Now, in the middle, you need a pass rush elite. You need a guy that can work his way through the center, split those double teams, and get to the quarterback from inside. This is important because when you think about how people like to throw the ball in Madden 20, a lot of times those edge threat elite players, if they're running a design rollout, they're going to cut those guys' legs out from under him and render him ineffective on most of these plays. Now, you probably have noticed that late in the year, a lot of those cut blocks are seeming to be further and fewer between. I don't know if they're tweaking things server side to make the cut blocks less effective, if they're testing things for 21 on us in the late stages of Madden 20. I really don't know. I don't care to put the tinfoil hat on and speculate, but those edge threat elites are very, very important. Those are the guys that are going to make those pass rush stops for you. They're going to get to the quarterback, put them in 3rd down and long. And, that's going to put them right back into rollout corner mode, which is broken down in totality in the defensive ebook. That's going to allow you guys to get those stops and force punts. So let's go ahead and take the field here. My favorite defense against spread sets is the pinch dog 3. Now, typically speaking, I want the yellow zone to be to the strength of the passing formation. If you know what I'm talking about, that means the side that has the most receiving threats. So depending on what formation you are taking the field against, you want to make sure that your yellow zone, let me go ahead and spot the ball here. The yellow zone is basically to the trip side of the field, if you will. So if you're facing a U trips or an ace slot or a trips tight end or a Trey Y flex, you want to make sure that your yellow zone is to the other side of the field. So right here, I think in practice mode, we're on auto flip. And you'll notice that when you do this, the way it actually works is that safety that is in the yellow zone, when you have it flipped this way, you would expect him to be in the yellow zone when you flip it the other way, but what ends up happening is it puts him in a seam flat, which is actually pretty nice. Now, if you know about the seam flat, basically what that is a zone where if they have 2 receivers to that side of the field, the seam flat will play anything vertically off the line and also anything breaking to the flat off the line to the number 2 receiver. Now, when you start to get into bunch and trips rules, it starts to play a little bit different. It plays more of a traditional curl flat type of role, and it's less valuable to you. But what I can tell you is that if you're worried about getting seams thrown against you from trips, this is one of those zones that is not nearly as effective. So what I mean by that is if I were to go ahead and just audible straight into verticals, let me go ahead and click off of Tony Jefferson here. He should really just allow Edelman just to get inside here, and you see how that's wide open, right? So that's not something great about this coverage. So I like to make tweaks to this. So again, all we're doing is we're going to flip this to have the yellow zone to the trip side of the field. And then what I like to do is I like to create a hybrid coverage. So what I'll do is I'll typically press, I'll click onto this safety, rotate him to the strength of the formation, and then I'll hit B to switch onto the other safety. I'm going to put him into a deep half, and I'm just going to back him off into the inside. Typically, if the wide side of the field is where the trips is, I like to have him about a step or two from the numbers where he can actually get over to a quick fade to the outside receiver. Now, on the outside receiver, it's up to you to determine what they are doing on the trip side of the field. If they are running a lot of short out routes, the outside corner can play a hard flat. He could also play a cloud flat if they're playing 10-yard to 15-yard out routes. That's something you could do as well. If they are throwing a lot of streaks, as soon as he clears that coverage, so for instance, if they were to audible into verticals and maybe do something like an Ohio concept where they have a fade and an out route, and let's say that they're hitting you on this throw, just a little baby outside throw right here down the sideline, and that safety's not getting there, that allows you to have the flexibility in this coverage to play an outside quarter. So there will be times where I will play this guy in a deep half and I'll back him off inside the numbers, and I'll put the outside corner on that side into an outside quarter zone, meaning 1/4 of the field. So in theory, over the trip side, we will have a quarter, a half, and a third. So we have every deep zone possible to the trip side of the field. Now, the next two positions on the field that are very important are these two defensive ends. They're not really defensive ends. Well, they are in a 3-4. They're the guys that are, covering the guards. And what I typically will do with this is I will try to muddy up the seam ball as much as possible by putting your 4-3 outside linebacker type, a coverage linebacker, an off-ball linebacker at this spot. Now here on the Ravens, we got a big guy like Brandon Williams, not really the guy you want there. In regs, this is a little bit tougher because a lot of times your 3-4 outside backer archetype is more of a pass rushing guy, less of a cover guy. So it ends up being really, really tough. But in general, what I like to do is I like to just drop him off the line into a vertical hook. For me personally, when I play Madden Ultimate Team, that's going to be basically a guy like Keith Bullock, a Fred Warner type, somebody like that that can really drop off the ball and get into that role. Now, the other guy typically plays a quarterback spy. This guy is going to be responsible if that quarterback slides up in the pocket. You're going to send that spy. If he scrambles out, if they cut block, one of the edge guys and they're able to roll out, this is a guy that's going to chase the quarterback. Now here, obviously with the Patriots and Brady, not really a scramble threat, but I'm using the Patriots for the hot route master more than I am anything else. You got to imagine most players are using a golden ticket quarterback at this point in the year. So this is the next adjustment I might make. Now, again, keep in mind this outside corner on the wide side can play anything you want. Cloud flat, hard flat, based off of down and distance. He could play an outside quarter as well. The one thing I don't really like is when I don't like to put him in an outside third. I don't prefer it. I like the outside quarter for two reasons. If they are running corner routes to an inside receiver, so for instance, Dorsett here. One thing that I like about that is those outside quarter zones drop a little bit slower. So they're going to drop off the ball slower than an outside third will. That way, when you go to throw the ball to that corner route, it is there to kind of take that throw away. So you see how he's like right there in that lane. And if I were to throw it down an outside pass lead, that guy would have been there on that throw. Now, keep in mind, you got deep halves and things like that over there as well. It's up to you how you want to play that. Now, there are other versions of this hybrid coverage that I will go to as well. Sometimes I'll press the coverage on the trip side and I will go ahead and I will shade down, shade up. And that will have a cloud flat and an outside third. On the outside, I will typically still go to an outside quarter zone. And then right here, I'll actually put this guy in an inside quarter zone. So we're playing cover 4 to the trip side of the field. And we actually have a cloud flat here. And again, you can still go with, your spy and your vertical hook. Now, this player as well, we haven't even talked about him. This guy is kind of a wild card threat as well. This is actually a middle linebacker. And you've got those middle linebacker assignments. You got hook curls to take away curls to any of the inside two receivers. You got a middle third that can drop deep down the middle, especially when you look at this coverage. There's no middle of the field zone here, so he can occupy the deep middle of the field. He can play a mid read, which is going to be middle of the field, but, you know, kind of matching a route, maybe a post route, something like that over the middle. That would be something that he would have affinity for. He could also, if you guys want, play a curl flat. So you can kind of Mabel out the trip side of the field and have a curl flat and a cloud flat. There are a lot of adjustments that you make. Of course, 3-4 Bear is not the most flexible coverage defense in the world, but if you know your way around the field pre-snap to navigate, it's not that hard to set up. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is my user. My user on this play is typically going to be this linebacker. Sometimes I will actually user this corner as well. My role on the twin side of the field, not even the twin side of the field, is to just make sure that I'm taking care of the running back. A lot of times you're going to notice players are going to go to this type of route combination with a hot route master. They're going to go wheel corner. So typically speaking, when that ball's snapped, your responsibility is to get out underneath the corner and rally to the wheel. And that's going to allow you to kind of muddy up that little high-low read that so many players like to make. Now, keep in mind that the 3 players that are rushing the passer all have abilities. They don't here in practice mode, but they do have abilities here. So when we take a look at this, you notice how everyone drops off the balls. It's a 3-man rush. Every single player on the field should have an ability. Should be an edge threat elite to the left, edge threat elite to the right, pass rush elite to the middle. Now, again, if you have 4 abilities, I also like to stack some of the other abilities like power and finesse specialists just to stack the pass rush abilities and make sure that I'm getting the ability to kind of, muddy up, or not muddy up, but, really make sure that I'm winning those matchups in the pass rush game. And again, right here with the user, we're just trying to muddy up the read. We drop out underneath the low ball to the corner route, rally down to the wheel right as they go to throw that. Now, again, if they have a good eyes, they might still throw this corner route as we bite down. But again, if you can just muddy up that read on the tight end side of the field, a lot of times they're going to have to go back to the backside to the trips and worry about the route combos they've got over there. Now, again, you see that we've got insane zone coverage to the right side of the field, plus a spy to take away the shallow crossers. You notice that we do a really good job of muddying up this double China look. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of things players are going to do. And that brings me to my next point. Motion can get really interesting with this. So let's say that we're set up into our coverage. Again, we make sure our yellow zone's to the trip side of the field, and we could go, with whatever you want to do here. Again, my typical go-to is something that looks like this to start. And if they can beat this coverage shell, I will, adapt out of it. I like the 3-rec hook as well. That's something that can cover drags and things like that. Short middle of the field is nice. Sometimes I'll try to bait and go hard flat. That way, if they want to throw an out route to either the B or the Y receiver, I've got a cloud flat and a hard flat. Sometimes I'll go curl flat just to muddy up the quick seam throws as well. Those are things that you will do. I really like to Mabel up and color up that trip side of the formation. But once they start to go to motion, this is something a lot of players will do. They'll start to put guys on, post routes and things like that, and they'll start to go to motion. This is where this formation gets a little screwy. When they go to motion of any of the trips receivers to the short side of the field, that lone soldier, that outside third, I will immediately man align. So I see this motion, I'm going to hit Y, I'm going to hit RB, and that's going to activate him and get him out. And the reason I do that is so I can put him into an outside quarter and repress. Now let me go ahead and unman align real quick and motion Edelman back across the formation. So I'm going to motion Edelman across the formation. And I want to do that same motion and put this dude into an outside, quarter. So again, I'm on defense. I'm talking about Peters, or I'm sorry, Humphrey. So keep a look at the left side player. When I go to this motion, if I want to put Humphrey into this initially, there will be a lot of times in game where instead of an outside quarter, he will actually spy. And it's really, really weird. It's based off of where he's standing. Sometimes his adjustment, that right stick left, will be a spy. And when you go to do that, he'll spy instead of outside quarter. And then all of a sudden the sideline streak is wide open. So this little trick is very, very important. Let me go ahead and respot the ball here and see if I can get that little thing to trigger. So again, here, when we run this, we are running, our setup looks like this. Our base covered shell is basically done here. And I accidentally flinched that player. Let me go ahead and respot the ball here. Sorry about that. Practice mode auto flip can be a little bit weird. So when, go ahead and set this up. So, our coverage shell is basically set up here. Got a cover 2 look, and then you can drop these guys into whatever you want situationally. When they go to motion somebody, right? And he's actually not doing it. So it's fortunate right here, but there will be a lot of times when you hit that right stick to the left And Humphrey, for one reason or another, will spy and he'll be wide open. But the trick is if you're noticing that happening, you go to the man align. And the other thing that's great about the man align is that this allows us to kind of keep our, it allows us to keep our, our alignment here. So we're still playing cover 2 on the wide side of the field. We're going to get a jam on Edelman. We're going to get a jam on whoever the new outside receiver is on the wide side of the field. And this is going to allow us to stay in our cover 2 look. And then here at this instance, I would probably rotate my user from this linebacker because I'm no longer worried about the high-low wheel corner. I'm going to actually rotate out to this user. That way, if they're trying to run, a post route or something back over the field, that gives me the ability to kind of lurk and, muddy up reads. And, you see right there, the seam flat right there match the corner route to the tight end. I talked about how, if you have a second receiver that goes vertical off the line on a 2-receiver side of the field, the seam flat will play man-to-man match on this. Again, I mean, this is all following the rules of the match coverage. So you see right here how when you look at this interaction, this tight end corner, this player does a phenomenal job. He gets a jam and then he turns around and matches him man-to-man, and that corner route is there taken away. So you don't have to worry about choosing a corner or a post to guard. You can have faith in the fact that you're going to be able to lurk the middle of the field post. And if you take a look at the rest of the field, I mean, it's pretty well locked down. And this is just with that cover 2 to the wide side look, and then knowing who to use on the backside of the formation. Now, again, if I wanted to, I could definitely hit, let me go ahead and, I don't want to do that there. Let me go ahead and reflip this here. So if I wanted to, I could still go with the cover 4 shell to the wide side of the field. That was just the cover 2 hybrid to the wide side of the field. If I wanted to, I could still go, inside quarter, outside quarter, align this up just like so, and then take this middle linebacker B and put him into a hard flat. Or I can put that middle linebacker into a curl flat, and you're basically playing your cover 4 drop to that side of the field. Now, keep in mind, this guy still rotates over here. You can still have something that looks like this, and you're still using this until they decide to motion somebody. So then when they go to motion, you decide that you want to put, this guy into an outside quarter, and then you go ahead and you reuse her. So now all of a sudden you're playing center field. You've got, cover 3 match, essentially. You're playing a match on the tight end on the backside, and you're playing center field. So then at that point, that you've got the ability. He's going to play match. Your responsibility is to help out on the post route. You can rally underneath and kind of, muddy up the underneath check down. So this is a really, really hybrid coverage. I love this. This is going to work against your U-trip style formations as well. So let me go ahead and get into that real quick. So if I were to come out in like a U-trips, I'm going to play the same type of rule. The spacing is just different. I think a lot of players don't think about Madden defensively as a spacing game. It's all coverage rules. How many receivers to one side? Are they wide or short side on their rules? How many receivers to the short side of the field? Is it an attached tight end? Is it a slot receiver that's split out? What am I doing here? So in a gun Y off trips Pats, we're basically playing trips rules here. So let's say I was facing U-trips or the Y off trips Pats. I would still play the pinch dog 3 with the yellow zone to the wide side of the field. I would still play my press coverage. I could still set up my cover 2 shell. And the only thing you're going to notice that's really different about this is rather than being right here, where like he was against trips tight end, he's lined up over the tight end in this role. So, in terms of how you're going to play this, you can still, muddy this up like so and use the exact same rules. I mean, this looks no different, right? The only thing that I would say that you have to be careful of when you're facing the U-trips are the little things. Sometimes you'll notice that this player just runs right by. If you play an outside quarter, sometimes he'll run right by him. Sometimes he won't. But you can see right there, the other thing that really comes into play that's really beautiful, and I laugh at this because it's a big guy covering off this, but if you have a coverage linebacker, these vertical hooks will sometimes turn around and play some excellent coverage for you. I mean, watch this. He turns around into his vertical hook, and now he's matching a post. Now, of course, that's Brandon Williams. He's getting cooked by a receiver. But if that's a 92, 93, 94 speed linebacker dropping from this spot, he actually plays pretty good coverage. I can't tell you how many times I've had a Keith Bullock or a Fred Warner pick that off, even though it looks like he's getting beat right here. How many times I've seen that. In fact, I've had Aaron Donald cover posts and corners in this coverage defense against certain sets. So, he gets out, he takes away the quick throw to the tight end off the line, and then he's going to find some work over the middle of the field, whether it's matching a post, matching a corner, covering, some sort of hitch in the seam. He's going to be able to do a lot of things for you. So having an athlete at this spot is really, really big. And of course, having an athlete right here to chase the quarterback if they scramble is really, really big. And of course, you're always keeping in mind that your 3 rushers are rushability players. So there it is, fellas. two coverage concepts. One's a cover 2 to the wide side, one's a cover 4 to the wide side, knowing who to use are based off of motion, the man align if your guy is spying. This is the way I essentially run my coverage defense. Again, if you guys appreciate this video, this is one of many coverage concepts that I break down and blitz setups that I break down in my defensive ebook out of the 3-4 bear. I know it is late in the year, but it's never too late to learn about things in the game that you might not have known. I try to break this game down on a high level and try to show you guys things that can help you out, not only right now, but also be something that is installed in your memory to go back to in the future. Creating hybrid coverages is very important. I think it's going to be very important next year in Madden 21, especially with how terrible the zones are. You're going to really have to be on your P's and Q's to know what is going to cover what, where it needs to be, spacing of the field. And that's going to be all very important. And trust me, when I get this brand new strategy website, which should be announced very soon within the next 2 weeks, open, I'm going to have you guys taken care of in Madden 21. But I just wanted to give you a little morsel of what I've been running this year in Madden 20. If you guys liked the video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. Any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, drop them below in the comments section. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be kicking into Madden 21 mode here in the coming weeks. Really excited for what's to come here on the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe. We'll see you guys tomorrow with our next video. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.